Hello, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. This bulletin is live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, and over 30 affiliates across the country. Coming up tonight, government assures the safety and welfare of Ghanaians. Ghanaians remains topmost priority in the wake of dozens of travelers stranded in the Gulf states.
Give us update. As I mentioned earlier, this morning Emirates was at our hotel to take our details and everything. We asked them when we'll be flying, and the lady said she has no idea.
We'll bring you the latest on the Black Queen situation in the United Arab Emirates and hear views of some Ghanaians about the situation.
It's a cause of worry because whatever affects other countries eventually tends to affect us.
Africa, we are in trouble. Yes, I'm worried. I'm worried because anything happening somewhere, even though it's not closer to you, you have to be worried.
Also ahead tonight, fierce political showdown hours away in Ayawaso East Constituency, with all camps projecting victory with less than 24 hours before polls open as the Electoral Commission and the Police confirm full readiness for the by-election. Also ahead this evening, a global study revealing the presence of lead and other in braiding hair sparks mixed reactions in Ghana. Tonight, we hear from a cross-section of Ghanaian women who use their extensions.
I haven't heard of the research, but I think it's very concerned.
For me, I think if they're saying it's going to affect our health, then they should bring an alternative. I'm still worried. It adds to our beauty.
In business,
fuel prices projected to witness some significant increase from March 16 due to current developments in the Middle East.
In sports,
Ghana Education Service assures crackdown on school sports violence as concerns grow over rising cases.
We got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of the show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 1111 997. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Details shortly. Thank you very much for staying with us this evening. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa has assured Ghanaians that their safety is the government's top priority, but evacuation plans remain unknown. Several Ghanaians, including Black Queens players and blogger Zion Felix, are stranded in the United Arab Emirates after airspace shutdowns and flight cancellations due to escalating US-Israel-Iran tensions. Airlines like Emirates and Etihad Airways have suspended operations, leaving thousands stranded. Well, government has activated an emergency preparedness plan and began evacuating some embassy staff in Tehran while retaining essential personnel to assist citizens in Iran. Well, Ghanaians in affected areas are advised to stay indoors, avoid large gatherings, and follow local authority guidelines. First, head of Joy Sports Fentuo Tahiru Fentuo paints a picture of the Black Queens situation.
That a lot of them are very scared with their bags packed and ready to move at any instruction. That's exactly what authorities have told them to do, and that's what the players have done. There's not been word from the Foreign Ministry apart from the statement from yesterday where they said that they were still assessing the situation with regard to evacuation of Ghanaian citizens in those affected countries. But what I know is that they had a training session this morning. That did not happen as they remained in their hotels. I also spoke to them about whether they have enough supplies, and they told me that the hotels are taking care of everything.
That's Fentuo Tahiru Fentuo there. We can now also hear from some Ghanaians living in Israel who have been narrating their experiences.
People are scared to sleep. Almost 11, almost 12 a.m. and everyone is scared to sleep. Jesus. Please help us.
Oh.
A popular blogger, Zion Felix, is also stranded in Dubai. He plans to fly to London, or his plan to fly to London got disrupted by this development.
Only around 12:04 midnight, I had alarm, twice on my phone. And when I woke up in the morning, I was informed that there were some missiles in the air, and that is why we had those alarms. And then, it comes with a notification, and it's written in Arabic, and then they translate it into English that you should find shelter elsewhere. Go to places that there's no window and all that. But this dawn, I've not had anything on my phone. After that alert, I've not had any other alert on my phone again.
You've mentioned that Emirates has been very good to you. Does that mean that they are taking the cost of the accommodation and you're feeding as you are in UAE right now, or you are doing it yourself?
Right now, Emirates is taking care of the accommodation. Since Saturday evening to date, they've been taking care of the accommodation. And then the accommodation comes with breakfast. I don't know for how long they are going to do that, but they've not said anything like you have to leave here today or tomorrow. When they came today, they said in case of any other information about our traveling, they will inform us. So I believe we'll stay there till whenever we are supposed to leave.
We've heard that some people have been injured in the UAE. Have you heard that any of them is a Ghanaian?
Not for now. I've not heard that any Ghanaian is injured as of now.
So right now, do you have any information as to when the airspace in the UAE will be opened so that you can leave that country?
That is the problem right now. I keep checking updates on Emirates website, and then they keep postponing it. As of yesterday, they said today, 3 p.m., they'll give us updates. I checked today, they said tomorrow, 3 p.m., they'll give us updates. As I mentioned earlier, this morning, Emirates was at our hotel to take our details and everything. We asked them when we'll be flying, and the lady said she has no idea.
We want to hear from you as well, whether you are stranded in any of the Middle Eastern countries or whether you have a relative currently caught in the crossfire in the Middle East. The number to send us the message is 055 11 11 997, and the escalating conflict between the United States, Israel and Iran is triggering concern here in Ghana, with fears the fallout could extend far beyond the Middle East or beyond projections of possible fuel price hikes. Many Ghanaians say they are worried about the broader economic and security implications of a prolonged conflict. My colleague Michelle Latte has been speaking to some of them.
It's a cause of worry, because whatever affects other countries eventually tends to affect us. And I think this is one of the countries that is a major producer of oil, and so, or let's say petroleum products. And so something like that wouldn't help us as Ghanaians. And so we are anticipating that the cost of living will be very high if this thing should continue, because everything fuel is everything commodity, is everything our lives. So I don't think it's the best.
I really don't have any, this war is been silent for a long time, so there's no surprise that now it has erupted. But certainly it will have an impact on not just our country, Africa as a continent, and already I know oil prices have shot up because of this war. It depends on how long it continues. The more it continues, the more hardships it will be for not just Africa, even in Europe. We pray that it will end quick so that the world comes back to normalcy, because certainly world trade will be affected, because oil is the driver of all the economies of the world. So for me, I hope and pray that it will end soon so that we can have our peace of mind. Yeah, certainly, and I think that Donald Trump, he likes war too much. He should tone down. More negotiations and sitting at the table and talking, it will be more effective than showing how strong you are and want to show brute force.
Talk of in Ghana, it can be huge, because anything that is having effect around the whole world, and looking at Africa, ours should be more, because Africa, we mostly depends on the outside world, and if there is a challenge somewhere which is having effect everywhere, I think Africa, we are in trouble. Yes, I'm worried. I'm worried because anything happening somewhere, even though it's not closer to you, you have to be worried.
Those are some Ghanaians sharing your thoughts with my colleague Michelle Latte, who thankfully joins me in the studio for a roundup of reactions pouring in on social media. Michelle, what are Ghanaians on the internet also saying?
Okay, so for some, just reacting to some assurances that came from NPA saying that we have some fuel in our reserves to last us for some weeks. Someone on X says, his name is Kofi Apia Dankwa, he says, good point. I hope that time should be enough for us to explore other alternative routes for importation. By the way, why has BOST not expanded our strategic reserves capacity all this while? Another one says that that's a good start, but at the moment we need to seek for stability and no involvement in an unprovoked attack. Stay in your zones and watch. And besides, the past government also faced the same effect in the Ukraine war. So if you think this will have an effect, then kindly apologize to the past government. Some also come in and you know how they will blame the past NPP government, just as we're talking so much about Ukraine, Russian war having effects on our country. Someone says here, we are lucky we haven't changed governments. Like by now, they are cutting Iran war special levy cake. And someone also says, yes, we don't expect petroleum shortages in Ghana. It must not happen unless President Mahama wants to be impeached, as he has the duty of protecting the petroleum consumer, just like President Akufo-Addo ensured fuel never shorts in the country. So those are some comments that are coming in on X.
Michelle Latte, thank you very much. Let's go into the telephone lines right now and speak to Cletus Seidu Dapila. He's the Vice Chairman on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. Grateful for your time this evening. Do I have Cletus on the line? Unfortunately, we've lost Cletus Dapila Seidu on the line. He's the Vice Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. We're working the phone lines to try and get him back on the line. And our top story for this hour is about the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa assuring Ghanaians that their safety is government's top priority, but evacuation plans, as we all know, is remaining unknown as we speak right now. Several Ghanaians, including the Black Queens players and also a popular blogger Zion Felix, among others, are stranded in the UAE and other countries in the Middle East after airspace shutdowns and flight cancellations due to escalating U.S., Iran, Israel tensions. Airlines like Emirates and Etihad Airways have suspended operations, leaving thousands stranded. And of course, as we all know by now, government has activated an emergency preparedness plan and began evacuating some embassy staff in Tehran all the way in Iran, while retaining essential personnel to assist citizens in Iran. And Ghanaians in affected areas have been advised to stay indoors, avoid large gatherings, and follow local authority directives. And we've been hearing from some Ghanaians, which you heard a while ago, expressing their opinion about the current conflict that is ongoing in the Middle East. And we're trying to work the phone lines to hear from Parliament as well. Pell?
Well, Kenneth, we know that the by-election in Ayawaso East is tomorrow. And there's an update on that because voters in that constituency say they want jobs, better roads and visible development as candidates make their final push. In a by-election, all aspirants insist they can win. With less than 48 hours to polls opening, the contest has intensified, even as fresh polling from Global Info Analytics tips the NDC as favourite heading into the election day. The NDC's Baba Jamal faces Baba Ali Yusuf of the New Patriotic Party, Ibrahim Idrisu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, and two independent candidates. While Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, Rashid Tanko Computer, speaking on the polls on the Joy News channel, says the race is a clear victory for the NDC.
And if you put it all together, I'm not surprised with the 75% at all. I'm not surprised. Clearly, we're even expecting more because of what we have done in the constituency. We've campaigned vigorously. The people are telling us they are living testimonies of the good works of the NDC government. And then, therefore, they are going to return a good verdict for the NDC. In fact, that's what they are telling us in the constituency. Right. Wherever you go, we present our message to them. They receive it with open arms, and they are telling us, NDC, you have no problem. You are a party that we can trust. we will vote for you tomorrow. I mean, this one is very clear. So I'm not surprised with the outcome of Global Info Analytics. The party is leading the campaign for this election, and the party is leading the charge for tomorrow. So if the party is against that matter, you don't expect that issue to happen tomorrow at all. It won't happen.
My colleague Stephen Mensah has been following this story, and of course he'll be there tomorrow to give us live coverage. So Stephen, you've been to the constituency several times and you've been speaking to some of the residents on the expectations from the next member of parliament. Tell us more.
Yes, so for many of the residents we spoke to, they are asking for better infrastructure for the area, given that the area is quite strategic. It's close to the presidency, it's close to the central business districts also. They are asking that the market be expanded for all people who need to purchase things and for people who be engaging in businesses to be able to purchase or engage in their trade. They're asking also for an improvement in their sanitation and better drainage for the area and the constituency also. For many of these people also, one of their main concerns will be skills training for the youth. They say that the youth are unemployed and uneducated, so they will need them to be educated more to reduce the social vices in the constituency also. One of the other things they will be looking out for from the next member of parliament will be an improvement in the development of an overall development of the area. One person I spoke to, which is quite interesting to me, is that he tells me that he would want the area to look or being apart to the East Lagos and the cantonment area also. We can listen to them.
Let's listen to them.
They are engulfed in filth all around us. So I would like the elected MP to tackle that one first. Second has to do with the indiscipline among the youth. If they have something doing, obviously, they will go to work, and this kind of indiscipline, tag-risk thing will stop. Okay, that's my main major issue. The rest can follow.
We must also look at equipping youth with skills. And there are people who already have what they do. They have a trade. As I said, we are standing in the market. If this market is transformed to become an ultra-modern market, it becomes beneficial not only for us, but for the entire constituency and even the country at large, because people come from outside Ghana to trade within this Nima market weekly. And so that's one thing. Then there's a sanitation aspect, and there is an infrastructural gap. That when we say we want to bridge the gap between Nima and the surrounding communities, infrastructure is one. The road, for instance, we are along the Nima highway. If you are a motorist, you would attest to the fact that plying this route is not something enjoyable.
What I want from my member of parliament is unemployment among the youth. There's a lot of unemployment among the youth. So I plead with him to look at that sector, because most of the people around here, if you look at the environment, some of them are good in mechanic, plumber, and other tailoring within the, but because they lack certification, they cannot go far and work. So it creates more of that unemployment. So I'll also urge him to work on educational aspects, creating TVET centers within the sectors.
So we have some of the constituents you spoke to, Stephen. So the police has also released a statement with regards to security arrangement for tomorrow's exercise. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. In the statement, the police says that it has deployed adequate police personnel across all designated polling stations and key locations to ensure a peaceful, transparent, and orderly electoral process. The statement also says that it will maintain a visible presence and conduct patrols before, during, and after the election to prevent any acts that may disrupt public peace and security. The statement also concludes by saying it's cautioning the public against engaging in any acts of violence, intimidation, spreading misinformation, or any conduct that may undermine the integrity of the electoral process. Persons found to have violated the law will be dealt with in accordance with Ghanaian law.
Stephen Mensah, thank you so much for that update.
You're still listening to News 9 here on Joy 99.7 FM. We've also been hearing from the Electoral Commission of Ghana, which says it is fully ready for tomorrow's polls. Fred Tete is Director of Research at the EC.
There's been a series of engagement from the time those 60 days period for those by-election was kickstart by the Electoral Commission. We've engaged the police service at the top hierarchy to the regional and district level. In addition, we've met at the IPAC level together with the police as well, at the RIPAC and then the DIPAC level to engage them as to preparation. An interesting thing about Ayawaso East is that although Nima, Mamubi, Kanda, Kwauchulu, up to Kaukudi area has some kind of description. These are places, or this is a place where you don't record many flashpoints. And interestingly, people living in that area, though I would say how people perceive the place, interestingly, the place has been peaceful in our elections throughout. And therefore, tomorrow, we anticipate things will not be anything different from.
Let's bring you other stories. And rescue efforts have been called off after 9 people were confirmed dead following a mining pit collapse at Ataniata in the Asutifi South district of the Ehafu region. At least 4 survivors are receiving treatment at a nearby hospital. Footage from the scene shows traces of blood at the site of the collapse. My colleague Erastus Asaridonko joins us with the latest update. Erastus, thank you for joining us here on Newsnight. So, first of all, tell us what led to this collapse and if this is a recurring problem in the area.
Well, so this is a fresh land. It used to be a farmland belonging to one farmer, and I understand from this individual that they initially, when they wanted to buy the land and do illegal mining on it, he resisted. But later he started receiving threats that if he does not give the land away, they were threatening his life, and so he had to give the land away. Now they started digging haphazardly. In fact, more people came in. It wasn't a well-structured kind of mining they were doing there, and so they were not supporting the pits as they were digging. And so gradually, as they removed the rocks beneath the earth became loose and it collapsed on them. So far, in the first stage when it happened, they thought that there were many people trapped beneath the pit. And so they went in for an excavator. After they retrieved the bodies of 9 people, they started digging with the excavator with the hope of finding more people, but they couldn't. And that's how they gave up rescue efforts. Remember, this is the same area, the same district that NIMOS went in to stop a cyanide leaching joint that the people attacked the personnel of NIMOS, if you remember. This is the same area. And the Asutifi South, Asutifi North has issues of cyanide leaching joints, locally called Sankofa, scattered all over. So illegal mining is not what is known. They are known for cyanide leaching joints. But this is an isolated incident where they started mining and digging up pits, which has finally collapsed on them.
Before we get to how the survivors are faring, tell us about what the district authorities, the Minerals Commission or security agencies have started in investigations so far, and also what the reaction of the community has been to this incident.
They've been mourning since the deaths occurred. The place has since been abandoned, but I'm learning from some of the miners and from some independent individuals within the society that it's likely that when everything dies down, they're going to go back to digging from the same area. And the point is that they have found quite a sizable amount of gold on that land, and they will not let it go. And some people have the belief that once people have died in that area, the gold will surface more in that particular enclave. So it's likely that if authorities do not cordon off the place, they will go back to the place to mine.
And earlier, you made us understand that 4 survivors are receiving treatment at a nearby facility. What's their condition now? Have they been discharged?
Well, I've been told that they are responding to treatment. I don't have any update as to whether any of them have been discharged. But I was told that one was very, very stable and that it's likely that they will be discharged today. We also understand that the police were at the scene the whole of yesterday, but we do not know whether they will be cordoning off the place or where investigations have raised to be able to put a figure to it.
Erasto Sasaridonko, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Let's stay with the story because the spokesperson for the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat, Pakwesi Shandov, says plans are underway to deploy a permanent task force to the area to prevent further illegal mining activities.
There is a comprehensive plan to invade that particular jurisdiction again. This time around, the plan and purpose of NIMOS for that particular area is a permanent full-scale deployment, which actually ties into already designed program of full-scale NIMOS deployment, because what we have observed over the period is that anytime NIMOS goes into an area to execute an operation, after they have left, the illegal miners obstinately would return. And under normal circumstances, one may expect that, well, the local enforcement units are supposed to be the vanguards, but it appears that is not happening, not to cast any blame, but we are not seeing that kind of local protection, or if like local enforcement. And so what NIMOS is going to do, effective the end of the first quarter, is a full-scale 24/7 uninterrupted deployment to that particular enclave and indeed to all other flashpoints. We believe that when that is done, incidents of this nature will become a thing of the past.
Let's take you to the presidency now, where President Mahama has voiced concerns about the erosion of judicial independence globally, citing increased executive interference in the judiciary. Speaking now the 2026 judicial year opening and the African Court on Human and People's Rights 20th anniversary in Tanzania, he warned that institutions fundamental to democracy are declining. He has also been highlighting instructions on civil liberties, including freedom of speech and protest, which he says undermine public trust in governance.
Technological advances have made the world feel like a small place. At no other time in our lifetime was that more evident than during the COVID-19 pandemic. By the time the World Health Organization announced the discovery of a new virus in Wuhan, China, that virus was already on an aeroplane to Johannesburg. It was already present in Accra on the roadside as individuals waited for a trotro at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, or seated towards the rear of a daladala en route to Ngaramtoni. If you look beyond Africa, what you find is that facade of the so-called Global North, a group of countries that have long held themselves up as beacons of democracy and human rights, of liberty, justice, and the rule of law, is fast crumbling. Judiciaries are no longer independent. Citizens and lawful residents are being disappeared by mass law enforcement and then placed without due process indefinitely in detention centers. We see executive overreach and a steady weakening of legislative independence. We see violations of international law. Restrictions are being placed on freedom of speech, assembly, and protest. There's a general loss of liberties and a sharp decline in public trust in government. Mwalimu Julius K. Nyerere famously said, "One does not judge one's state of health by comparing yourself to a sick person." For far too long, we compared ourselves to the West and used what we believe were their standards as our benchmarks for all our endeavors. The reality we see today should serve as a clear call to action.
Well, that's President John Mahama there, all the way in Tanzania. And in our first episode of Joy News Ghana Man series, we bring you the story of Jamestown, a historic Ghanaian community that played a significant role in Ghana's fight for independence. Colonial administration once operated from James Fort, making the area a center of control but also a symbol of resistance among the local people. Ramat Bashiru has the rest of the story.
Ghana,
now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors. Toils of the brave which are brought.
From the struggle against British colonial rule to present day, Jamestown has been a hotbed of political activity.
At long last, the battle has ended, and thus Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
Some of the leading voices in the independence movement later became known as the Big Six. The nationalists who played key roles in challenging colonial rule included two prominent Ghana leaders, Emmanuel Obichibilamte and Ebenezer Akweje. Benjamin Nikwate Owu, an elderly resident, recount how the town got its name and how Ebenezer Akweje mobilized the Ghana people and residents of Jamestown to support the independence movement.
That we should support Kwame Nkrumah and Ghanaians. Those times they was called a Big Six, but when we come to have our independence, we all fight for him and support him to claim Gold Coast to Ghana. When they are about to fight with the independent, Akwaje, he said he have a friend, one of his friends is called Kwame Nkrumah. So the five of them be together and send off to find Kwame Nkrumah.
At the Jamestown Tourism Information Center, historian Humphrey Lamptey describes British rule as a time of hardship for many Ghanaians. He explains that the story of Jamestown dates back to the construction of the James Fort in 1643. Jamestown formed part of Accra Central, the constituency Dr. Kwame Nkrumah represented after winning the 1951 elections while detained at James Fort.
A lot of people die. It's very painful history, very sad. By that time, they don't see us as human beings. They see us like animals because we have gents, those who are very strong men and strong women. Something like the fort. This James Fort prison was built by the British, 1643, for slavery activities. And when slavery was abolished, the Ghana government turned this place as a prison. 1960 up to 2007, the prison is closed. So that's where Kwame Nkrumah was put. The first president of Ghana was put inside over there for a year, then 57.
And all who fought for freedom. Everybody! All from the brave and the sweat of their labors.
As Ghana marks 69 years of independence, Jamestown's story keeps the nation's history alive. But after all its contributions, residents are still asking how much the community itself has changed. Ramat Bashir's report, read to you for Joy News.
It's now time for business, and George Riafe is here with the latest. George, what do you have for us?
Well, Kenneth, coming up in business, fuel prices projected to witness some significant increase from March 16 due to the current developments in the Middle East. And Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyakwampem hints of plans by government to start issuing long-dated bonds after the expiration of restrictions on these papers issuance following the domestic debt exchange program reliefs as well. We're getting you more details on that one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. You're welcome back to business on Newsnight. Now, fuel prices are projected to witness some significant increase in 2 weeks' time, that is from March 16, 2026. It follows the huge spike in crude oil prices in just a day due to developments in the Middle East. Now, in Ghana, oil marketing companies have already gone up starting today by almost 3% per litre. This is due to what happened over the past 2 weeks. Now, what we are picking up is that if the current trend should sustain, we could be witnessing one of the most significant spike in crude prices, that is petroleum products, on the local market. Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority has indicated that its immediate priorities is to ensure that we have enough products in the country in terms of stocks to meet consumer demand. This follows fresh revelations the current conflict in the Middle East could last for up to 5 weeks. Abbas Tasunti is head of economic regulations at the National Petroleum Authority.
We would like to assure consumers that the fact that this war is happening and going to tighten the market is not going to affect the quality of fuel you get. The MPA has a very robust system of ensuring that the fuel we buy is of the highest quality and is meeting the standard. And so this is in no way going to affect the quality of fuel we have. I would mention that we have, before the product first of all enters the market, we have a system that will ensure that it has met our standard. When the product enters our market, we also have a process that ensures that we monitor the product from the depot all the way to the retail outlet using our fuel marking program. And so consumers should not be concerned about the fact that this is going to lead to adulterated fuel. We are going to ensure as a regulator that the consumer gets value for money when it comes to the quality of fuel that they are purchasing. So remember that in Russia, in 2022, when the Russia attacked Ukraine, we had the same issue. The MP worked with the industry, the BDCs, to ensure that the products are always available. What we are likely to definitely face is the increase in the price. But for availability, be rest assured that Ghana is not going to short fuel.
Abbas Tasunti is head of economic regulations at the National Petroleum Authority. Now, Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyakwampe has revealed that government could soon look at the option of issuing long-dated domestic bonds in the coming weeks. Now, this was after restrictions on issuing these bonds expired last week, Thursday, as part of conditions under the domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Ampem tells Joy Business a lot of options are currently on the table being reviewed.
For the past 4 years, we were financing the budget on the short end with treasury bills. With the restrictions being ending, now we will be able to issue long-dated bonds. Very soon, very soon. All we were waiting for was the expiration of this. That is very soon. You hear announcement about that. You hear the announcement very soon, because you see we have pension funds idle, so now they will have use to invest. They will have avenues to invest. So these are all wonderful things that are happening. And I tell you
about the gold reserve being depending on the gold for the reserves. Isn't that, some would say, a big gamble? Because gold could be rising today, tomorrow it could go down. If things in America should sustain a little bit, people will move away from gold assets to dollar asset-backed assets. That is where the challenge is, about the challenge in depending on gold so much for your reserves going forward.
You see, if you read the full document on the accelerated reserve accumulation policy that the minister brought to the House, currently it is gold-led, because gold prices are elevated, they are high. But there are other components. We are not only dependent on reserves going forward, but you make hay while the sun shines. Since all international...
Deputy Minister of Finance Thomas Nyakwampe. Now, some businesses have indicated that they are somewhat convinced about the outlook of the economy as well as sustainability of the current economic gains. And this follows President John Mahama's latest commitment to fiscal discipline as expressed in last week's State of the Nation's address. Stephen Abbas Mezan is president of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
I think in the speech there are a lot of policies and pronouncements that has been made to ensure that we maintain the fiscal discipline. And you see, it is not even what we have achieved now, but it's also its sustainability. It's something that we also need to avert our mind to it in the long term. What are the policies that the government is putting down? So the president mentioned global economic watches, which is good. So it means that we need to put, as a country, we need to put in policies where issues like Gov't, Ukraine war, electricity issues that President Mahama faced under his tenure, all those things are things that, look, we are insulated from going forward. So yes, the president mentioned that, and I appreciate the president for mentioning something like that. So global watchers is something that I picked up very much.
President of the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stephen Abbas Mason. Now, telecoms giant MTN has revealed that they paid 10.5 billion Ghana cedis in direct and indirect taxes to the state covering its operations for last year. This is coming after its service revenue shot up by more than 20% to reach 24.4 billion Ghana cedis for last year. The telecoms firm also saw some strong growth in all areas of its operations for last year. Active mobile money users now stands at 19 million as revenue from that business reached 6 billion Ghana cedis for last year. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Thank you, George. It's now time for sports, and Benaya is here.
Yeah, Kenneth, we have some good news. And the Black Queens, they've actually resumed training to continue their Pink Ladies Cup ahead of, that's a formal preparations ahead of the WAFCON tournament.
Right.
What's been happening in the Middle East, and tensions have been high. People were scared. Hey, what's happening with our Black Queens? Hope our ladies are safe and all that. Now, authorities are saying that we should calm down. They are all safe and sound, and they've already resumed training, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So wishing them all the best. Now, let's go to the GS, because rising cases of violence and hooliganism in both the central region and eastern regions have compelled authorities to take decisive action. Now, the central region inter-school sports festivals have been temporarily banned, while in the eastern region, the Ghana Education Service sanctioned Ofori Senior High Technical School, New Joabin Senior High School, and New Sutam Senior High Technical School following violent incidents linked to recent competitions. Now, Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Education Service, Daniel Fenyin, says measures are being put in place to curb hooliganism in school sports and restore discipline.
We want very thorough and exhaustive investigation, so we take permanent decision on that. But you can trust that all these pockets of cases that have come to the Ghana Education Service serve as data, and that will inform some permanent decisions going forward. I give an example. In the Eastern region, 3 schools have been banned for 2 years. Ofori Sectec has been banned.
Ofori Sectec have been banned?
Yes, because of what happened. So we are using these cases as data. Of course, we step in to give sanctions. We step in to make sure the cases have been dealt with and all that. But we're also using them as case studies to take decisions going forward. So we don't expect that in the next set of games that we'll witness in the country, we will see these cases recorded again.
Yeah, hopefully in the next competitions we don't see this case repeat itself again. And that's it for sports. Over to you, Kenneth.
Right, thank you. Don't go yet. Did you see the weekend Premier League games?
That's why you called me back. You want to remind me?
Especially the Sunday ones. No, it's not even
it's
that.
It's not even about Arsenal.
All the score lines were 2-1, 2-1, 2-1 in favor of the home teams. I don't know if you noticed that.
I also noticed it. And there were also red cards, a few red cards for the away sides.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Charlie. But the Arsenal people, why?
Oh, please.
Are we playing rugby?
Their end is near.
You don't worry. We're holding our necks and do.
Don't worry.
Charlie, why?
Don't worry. Their end is near. Okay.
Their end is near.
Yeah.
But do handle them or what?
No, their end is near. You see, Man City will show you.
Man City will do the job for us. Okay, all right. Let's see how it goes.
Thank you. And in Second D, Takoradi's bustling Zongo communities, homes are becoming unbearable heat traps due to rising temperatures, poor housing design, and limited ventilation. This perfect storm is putting lives at risk, especially for vulnerable groups like children, the elderly, and pregnant women. The situation is dire, with residents struggling to cope with indoor heat that's often exacerbated by frequent power outages and high electricity costs. Prince Osuesiedu has more in today's climate evidence.
Ghana's climate strategies recognize the dangers of global warming. In Sekondi Takoradi Zongo, cramped buildings and limited airflow are often compounding the crisis. Trader Balikisu Dauda explains that she keeps her children cool by wiping them down with wet towels, but says the elderly are often left to endure the heat with little relief.
The heat is harsh, causing rashes and making kids uncomfortable. We most of the times use wet towels to cool them down, trying to help them sleep. It's tougher for kids. They can't handle it.
Another resident, Idris Mohammed, says the heat drives them outdoors at night.
Even with the air conditioner, the heat is overwhelming, forcing us to rely on natural ventilation, like laying mats outside just to catch a breeze.
The Metropolitan Development Planning Officer and Climate Change Focal Point, Abu Mohammed, says the Assembly is taking steps to reduce the impact of extreme heat.
Particularly in the Zongos, you realize that the buildings are mostly joined together. So we need to have education and educate them to understand that there's a change, and that change is the reason why there's so much heat.
A recent study by Ebenezer Mankwa of the University of Ghana recommends stronger climate-responsive housing policies that focus on ventilation.
We have installed heat detection devices in rooms and hospitals. For setup, position windows to face each other and orient buildings to allow wind flow, reducing heat impact.
As temperatures continue to rise, the heat inside Zongo homes is no longer just uncomfortable, it's dangerous.
Well, despite growing international concern over harmful chemicals found in some synthetic hair extensions, many Ghanaian women say they are not ready to abandon the popular beauty product. The reactions follow a CNN report citing a U.S. study that detected potentially cancer-causing chemicals, including lead, in several brands of synthetic hair, along with substances linked to hormone disruption. But here in Accra, some women say the decision to stop using hair extensions is not straightforward.
I haven't heard of the research, but I think it's very concerning because hair extensions have become a part of our everyday life. So finding out that something that is so personal and so everyday has high chances of causing me cancer is, I don't know, it makes me feel a certain way. Going forward, I think that it will affect how I wear hair extensions or how I use them.
I've heard of it, and for me, I think if they're saying it's going to affect our health, then they should bring an alternative to it so that it doesn't affect us, our health. I'll still wear it.
The coalition of unpaid newly posted staff of the Ghana Education Service is expressing frustration over months of unpaid salaries, missing staff identification numbers, and unexplained changes to their assumption of duty dates. The teachers say the delays have made it increasingly difficult to cope with the rising cost of living. The following report has more.
Newly posted teachers say some members have worked for months without staff IDs or salaries. They say some unexplained changes to assumption of duty dates are also affecting the arrears owed them. The group stormed the NAT office today to demand urgent action.
We have members who are still working without staff IDs, and a larger number of us who have also worked for 17 months without salary. Others who have gone 10 months, 12 months, 14 months with salaries in arrears. We were recruited in September and then November 2024 respectively. In fact, some of them have their assumption of duties changed to November 2025.
According to them, calls to NAT and other associations have gone unanswered.
Since the fight of this battle, we've been working all along by ourselves, and to our surprise, the very association or the very body whose core mission is to ensure the welfare of teachers, we think we have been neglected, we have been discarded, in fact, we are undervalued.
The teachers say nurses received a clear payment plan after their recent aggregation, but teachers have not.
There's a letter out. Ministry of Health has brought the letter out. Ministry of Finance, who is very aware that he owes teachers, has also brought a payment plan out for only nurses. Are we not part? Are we not providing critical services?
Some teachers described how the delays have affected them.
I have 3 children, so rent, school fees, light bill, water bill, and I've been working for 14 months.
People working without staff ID, without salary. I don't know whether they care. They don't care. That is what I'm seeing. They don't care.
It has been a problem and a headache. People do not sleep at night, and people have been owing a lot
lot of people. Because of this, people have borrowed monies that they were not supposed to borrow.
We're heavily always calling people asking for mobile money, which is an insult to our very personality.
The frustrated teachers warned that if the issues are not addressed, they would hold a legal demonstration in the coming weeks.
Right, that's it for Newsline. But before we go, here are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp console. Jake Aye from Ajen Kotoku says the government should act fast to ensure the safety of Ghanaians living in and around the war zone. As for the fuel price increment, we may not have control over it. Nana Ekriamua Boatin from Ablekuma Central says the voters in Ayawaso East should change their voting pattern. They voted for many years, but has not seen any development in their communities. They should vote for the MPP candidate. Francis in Accra says for MPP, their long-awaited prayer after the 2024 election for a world crisis to happen in Ghana so that it can affect Ghana's economy as COVID did. It has become their answered prayer. And this one is from Sherry Giovanni, who says, I don't expect to hear the government give excuse that the war in Iran is the cause of fuel price hikes. And Kotoka Carriage in Anlogala Shibi in the Volta region says, as a matter of fact, U.S. President Donald Trump talks too much and appears to be anti-Africa. Since returning to power for a second term, he has been making many threats. Just look at the current conflict happening in the Middle East. Those are some of the messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi.
My name is Ofori.
Have a good evening.